What's your most favorite thing about the Unity box right now?
Actually, what I really like is the latest firmware allows you to receive a universe and then transmit that same universe.
So you're kind of using it as a repeater.
Yes, and then not only is it a repeater, it's also a data point. So, if I'm doing a rig downtown and say I got to be rooftop to rooftop to rooftop,
Yep.
instead of having to run a network and whatever back down and over to these lights, I can literally jump my wireless from rooftop to rooftop, like extend all the way down my street to give hardline control to all the lights on the roof.
So you're hardlining it, or you're wirelessly going from rooftop to rooftop?
I'm hardlining the lights into the box,
Yes.
and then I'm using the box to receive and transmit.
Wirelessly.
Wirelessly, yes.
To the next rooftop.
Yep.
And then you pick up again, hardwired on the other rooftop,
Yep.
and you keep going.
Exactly, and you can use that. I haven't tried a limit on it, but we've done quite a few hops. I've done 8 or 9 with no problems.
Right, and you know as well as I do, the firmware is ever evolving. I think
Yes.
we're on our 47th or 48th firmware right now. So it's important for guys to check that at the beginning of the rig.
Yes.
So when you get a box at the beginning, what's your how do you start? Like, what do you do?
Well, the first thing is, typically we do a factory reset. Not always. It depends. The data sphere is less important because there's less options. On the Unity, probably would do a factory reset because I don't want any of the ports saved.
Right.
And then, the first thing is the IP address. So the IP address, that's what a lot of guys, they get scared. The IP address, there's so many numbers.
Yeah.
But you're only really worried about the last 3. So it's really no different than a DMX address.
Right.
You work with your board op, you figure out your first 3 octets, and then boom, the last one is all you worry about.
Right.
And then you set that. Then you set your subnet, and you're basically ready to go.
And are you an ArtNet or are you an SACN?
SACN.
Always.
Always. I haven't worked a show that does ArtNet in a long, long time.
Okay.
I know there's some ArtNet guys out there.
Well, Europe really likes ArtNet, from what I understand.
That's my understanding too, which I've puzzled, but maybe it's a European thing.
Okay, so you address the box, or the box is plural.
Yeah.
You're only worried about the last octet, the last 3 numbers, and then what?
Then it's ready to go.
And then you're ready to go. Do you start plugging in? You just start plugging in fixtures, or you start with the data part of it? Like, what happens after that?
Yeah, I'll plug in the power, obviously, and then that's the first thing I'll check. I'll plug in the data, and then I'll make sure I'm getting my flashies on here. Obviously, we don't have that now because we don't have a network. But, that's the visual indicators again. And as soon as I see those lights blinking, I know, boom, I got data and it's working.
So the light starts blinking, and okay, I got data to the channel.
Yep.
Okay. And as far as the color coding goes, do you start with a particular color? Do you care?
Mr. Linus is still kind of working, I think, on the color part that I like. So the color for now is great, and it's a good indicator. It's more, I don't use it as much on certain boxes. It's sort of difficult to explain, but the box is consistent within itself for the color. Basically, so I just know that they're different universes or paired universes. 'Cause I set all my boxes up for first unit. So I do a universe 1, universe 2, universe 3, 3, and a 4, 4.
Okay.
And then the color, I know Bobby's coming out with it. The color is going to be more universal soon, where it's all going to be a different story.
Okay.
But like we were talking about the firmware updates, I just remember when the Sky Panel came out 3 years ago, it was unrecognizable to the light we use today.
It does 2 things. At 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had it on the commercial, and it had party mode, or I don't think you could even adjust the color. It just flashed through them at different speeds, and then it could go from tungsten to daylight.
And now it's the most sophisticated fixture on the planet.
And it's all firmware updates. I mean, the panels split. You get all these other different things now. We do X, Y. It's unbelievable.
And hopefully, as we continue to evolve, this box will continue to evolve. I mean, we're working on it daily on what can be changed.
I'm always impressed. Every new firmware comes out, it's actually got changes I didn't think about.
Name one that you're like, wow, I really love that update.
Well, the big thing was the XY in the beginning. Before, you could only receive the universe or transmit. You could not transmit the received wireless universe. And so I think Bobby added that in the last firmware I got, which was great because that was the number one thing people talked about. I know he's working on some other little things, but that was a big one for me, being able to use it as a repeater and an access point.
Right.
Because repeaters exist, but there's no access point repeaters that I know of.
Right.
And so that was a big deal for me. That's a nice back pocket safety
Little
net.
things.
Yes.
Okay. And then simple things you mentioned earlier, like the rig points.
Yeah, hoist points, rig points. I love that. You have the clamps. I mean, so many manufacturers seem to overlook that we have to fasten things to things.
Right. Up high, down low, whatever.
Yeah, and you're wrapping them with chain or zip ties, and it is when rigging. Unfortunately, it is a lot of form over function. Obviously, it has to work, but it's got to look pretty.
Why does it have to look pretty?
Because everybody walks by it, for the most part, and it just looks like you care. I find.
Or it looks like you're organized, right?
Yes, and it's also for troubleshooting.
Uh-huh.
If you have 1,000 cables run haphazardly, good luck trying to fix the one. But if you have them all in a perfect straight line, well, that one's bad. It's an easy swap.
Right. Understood.
When they see it rigged and mounted nice, that's what I always talked to Craig about when we first started. It needs to look like it belongs there. Is what I always tell the guys. It needs to look like it's supposed to be there.
Right. It's an elegant solution compared to what you had before, which is a bunch of duct tape and whatever, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. One of the biggest features, you look at some of these guys' rigs, huge $100 million features, and things are screwed into 1x3s and taped together. And it's like, this is a professional lighting product if we're in a professional lighting world.
Right.
And that's why I think it's funny when people are like, well, it's more than I need. It's like, just trust me. You're going to find a use for it all before you know it.
Was there anything that when you didn't understand, like I remember talking to Craig and he said, Bobby just told me a different way that he never thought about how to use the box. What was that about?
That was for rigging. Originally I'd seen this as a drag out for first unit. And I thought, well, it's a little bit overkill for your average first unit, because they're not going to need to do all these things, which proved me wrong immediately on that other job I just did.
Yeah.
Because they needed it. But I saw it as a rigging point. I saw it as the new Socko drop. We would drop these Socko leads to the sets where you could plug in your dimmer lights. This is like the new Socko drop because you need all these things now. You need the dimmer. You need the network. You need the DMX. You need the wireless. You need all these things now. You need these points. And so as it kind of clicked in my head, like, hey, when this is all over the set, it gives them everything they could possibly want.
Right. And it just gives you, like you said, you can sleep at night. You're not worried, oh, my God, I got to find a solution, and they're waiting.
Exactly. And the drop loads of Astera tubes and all the things we get on our show. If you see how fast we eat up universes, it's unbelievable.
Right. I know, and full disclosure, transparency is always something that we really strive for. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
These boxes, they have problems, and
yeah.
One of the things that we really try for and strive for at RatPac is if you have a problem, that we are reachable, that someone can be to the set and, have you experienced good customer service? Be honest, because I've been to your set and so has Anthony and so has my techs, wow, Bobby's having an issue on the MBS set, we need to get down there and handle it. Talk about that a little bit.
That's the number one reason why I like you guys.
Right.
You are always reachable by phone and you've always fixed all my problems.
Right.
And when you haven't, you've still made it right. I'll never forget the 12x200s. When those first came out, they kept blowing and blowing, and you guys said, Bobby, give those back. Here's 2 brand new ones. We fixed the problem.
Yeah.
And you've always just stood by all your products. And that's why I love using your stuff. It's that peace of mind.
Yeah, I don't know how easy it is to get other manufacturers on the phone.
It's difficult.
Every single gaffer in this town has my cell phone number, and I've taken calls at 11 o'clock at night because I know, wow, I'm on the set of The Prom and they're having problems. Mike Bauman's having problems right now. I'm getting out of bed and I'm going to go handle it.
Yeah.
Now that never happened with that particular show, but I'm just saying, these shows, whether it's a big A-budget movie or a little independent film, we try to be available when things go wrong. So I'm glad to hear that you've experienced that from us.
Tremendous customer support. I think when Craig showed me the first Unity, I think we didn't have it more than 5 minutes before we had some problems.
Right.
He took it back, and he fixed whatever it was, and he brought it back to us.
Sure.
And and that's what I've always appreciated about this company is that even when I used to, I started using your guys' dimmers. When you guys first started 7 years ago or so, and that's what it always was. You guys always worked with me, and I think you even built me those little snack packs.
We did.
Yeah, when I asked for more stuff.
A little custom job.
Yeah, no. So it's I have nothing but good things to say, personally.
Well, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming out here and chatting with us, and we'd love to have you out again to speak about your new projects and how you're using the box, and if you ever want to come and talk about a new idea that you've come up with, I'd love to have you. You're a tremendous help to RatPac, and we are so grateful.
I love being here, and I definitely got some pictures I can't show you yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
Hopefully when the next show premieres, I can show you some how we're using these.
Well, I saw some. They did a how Mandalorian was made, and I actually saw dimmers in the documentary. It was really cool.
Yeah, dual PDBs everywhere in that show.
PDB duals everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, now look, before we go, though, PDB duals.
Yes.
This box is really kind of taken over that, right?
Yeah, and that it is a cost factor there, and because we have so little tungsten dimming on our show, that's why I utilize fewer of these. We, I say no tungsten. We do use a little bit of tungsten, but
sure.
That's why the PDBs more of the choice for us. But I think there might be a newer PDB on the horizon.
Well, you know what? Honestly, we have some things that we're working on that are we're gonna do some really interesting. I can't even say. You know what? I can't say.
Well, I kind of know what the plan is. That's why I'm excited about it, because I think it's going to be blow people's socks off. That's what they don't realize. This is the beginning, and if you like this, I think you're going to love what's coming.
Yeah, what's coming. I mean, and it's always like, how can we solve problems?
Yeah.
How can we rig faster, rig better? You know, how can we do this and make it easier for everybody?
How can we stop doing the tedious stuff that we do over and over and over again? How can we take an everyday job and make it simpler?
Right.
And I think you guys are the only ones doing it. Like you said, everybody's building lights. It reminds me of an old Jerry Seinfeld bit where he goes, they're always showing off new cars in New York City. He goes, they never show you a parking space. That's what we need. And that's how I feel about data.
That's right.
I love all your new lights, but I really need a box to power them. And you guys built it.
Space.
Yeah, I need a parking space.
You're the best, Bobby. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.